Alright, so in this video we're going to go over your conics, ellipses, circles and ellipses quiz review, because I'm breaking conics into two sections. So now here's number one. I forgot to write a question. It says identify the conic section that is demonstrated with the three-dimensional graphic shown below by filling in the bubble answer of your choice. So here we have our double cone, and our plane runs horizontally through it. Alright, it runs horizontally through it. So which one of these would it make? Well, if you remember, a hyperbola, it has to cut through both cones. This one does not cut through both cones, so it's not a hyperbola. For a parabola, it's got to it basically has to cut the corner off, and this is not cutting the corner off; it's cutting the whole top off. So we know it's not a parabola. So now we got it narrowed down to an ellipse or a circle. All right. Well, this one, since it goes straight through, so that means it's parallel to both bases. All right. Since it's parallel to both bases, that means it is a circle, because for an ellipse, it would have to go through at an angle. All right. Remember, an ellipse goes through at an angle. So if this was the case, it'd be an ellipse. But in our case, since it goes straight through, it goes horizontally through, it is a circle. All right? There's number one. Number two. Wow, that very poorly. Try the other one. That work any better? Nope, that made it worse. All right, number two. It says identify the center and radius for the following circle. Alright, so we want the center, and we want the radius. I don't know why I put parentheses for that. Alright, so for the center, well, for one thing, we know that the equation for a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Alright, so since this is x minus h and that's x plus 9, we know h has to be a negative 9. So that way it's x minus negative 9, which is x plus 9. And for y, for your k value, it's basically the same thing. It has to be a negative 9, so that way that y minus negative 9 flips to y plus 9. Now our radius, we know that this whole thing equals r squared. So we know that 196 is r squared. So if r squared equals 196, we're going to take the square root. So r equals 14. Now, I know it should be plus or minus 14, but in this case, a negative radius would not make sense, so it's only positive 14. All right, so number two, your center is located at negative 9, negative 9. And your radius is 14. Alright? Let's go to number three. Got new markers and they're not erasing very well. Looks like I need a new eraser too. Alright, number three. We need to write the equation for the circle. Okay, so this is a circle with the center at 4, negative 9, and a radius of, there, I did that again, and a radius of 14. So we need to write the equation for a circle. Well, again, we know it's x minus h, and remember, this is h and k. So we're going to do x minus h, which is 4, squared, plus y minus k, well, k is negative 9, so it's going to be y plus 9 squared. And now we know that this equals r squared, so since our radius is 14, 14 squared is 196. Now, I would take this two ways. I would take it looking just like this, Or instead of equals 196, I would also take equals 14 squared. So you don't have to square it if you don't want to. I would take this equals 196. I would take this equals 14 squared. I'd take either one. Would not mark either of those incorrect. All right, so that was number 3. Let's go to number 4. Number 4 is about an ellipse. We have x plus 5 squared over 36 plus y minus 3 squared over 9 equals 1. We want the center, the major axis, meaning at x or y, minor axis, the x radius, and the y radius. Alright, so we need to get all that from the equation. So the center is easy to find. Remember your equation, the top of this looks just like your circle. Alright, it works just like a circle. So we know that this is x minus h. So since this is plus 5, it's going to have to be minus negative 5. And then 3. Because remember, the top of that equation works and looks just like that of a circle. Now, major axis. Remember, this is a squared, and this is b squared. Your major axis is simply which one is bigger. Which one is bigger? Well, since a is bigger, because a is 6, whereas b is 3, that means our major axis is the x-axis, and our minor axis is our y-axis. Now we need the x radius and the y radius. Remember, the x radius is simply a, the y radius is simply b. A squared is 36, so that means a is 6. So our x-axis radius is 6. B squared is 9, so b is 3. So our y radius is 3. Alright. There's number 4. Let's go to number 5. I'm going to do my best to draw that too. Alright. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like we got a point there to use. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Negative 10. This is 4. This is negative 1. 1, 2, 3. Alright. Now 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. That's kind of bad, but it still shows what we need. So, we want the equation, or I do. Want the equation for that ellipse. So, we know that the equation is x minus h squared over a squared plus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. So, let's go ahead and set it up. We have our fraction plus a fraction equals 1. Alright. Now, let's find our center point. Alright, let's find our center point. So, if you notice, our x value is over 1. We go down negative 3. So, negative 1, negative 3 is our h and our k. So now we just have to plug it into here. So x minus negative 1 is x plus 1 squared. And then y minus negative 3 is y plus 3 squared. Now we just have to find the x and y axis radius, and we are done. So to do that, you simply count. Alright, you simply count. And I actually got this off. This should be over here in line with that. Yeah. There we go. So you just simply count to get the x radius. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. So from here to here is length 4. And then you go up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that what it's supposed to be? Yep, 7. So we know that the length from here to here is 7. So now we're just going to figure out which one's x, which one's y. Well, since this one is parallel to the x-axis, of course that's the x. So this would be 4 squared or 16. And then the y-axis is the one that's parallel to the y, so 7 squared, which is 49. So the equation for my badly drawn ellipse is x plus 1 quantity squared over 16 plus y plus 3 quantity squared divided by 49 equals 1. Alright, that's number 5. So all you do is count. You just count from your center out. It's 4 units till you hit the outside either way. So that means A is 4. And then you simply count up again till you hit the ellipse. And when you go up and down, it is 7. So B is 7, B squared is 49. And that is all. Alright, last one, number 6. Last one, number 6. It says, identify the coordinates of the 2 focus points and the eccentricity. So we have x minus 3 squared over 81 plus y squared over 36 equals 1. And we want the 2 foci points, the 2 focus points. So I'm going to call it f sub 1 and f sub 2. And we want the eccentricity. Alright. So remember, your equation for eccentricity, not eccentricity, I'm sorry, C, because we need to find C, is the square root of the absolute value of a squared minus b squared. And your formula for eccentricity is C over A or B, whichever one is bigger. Alright, so in this case our A is bigger, so it's going to be C over A. Alright, so first thing first, we got to know what the center point of this thing is before we can do anything else. Alright, we got to know what the center point is before we can do anything else. So our center is 3, 0. Alright, that's our center, 3, 0. Now, since A is bigger, that means our ellipse goes left-right. So the y values of our center point and our 2 focus points are going to be the same. They're going to be the same. So now we have to find C, the absolute value of a squared minus b squared. So C equals the square root of the absolute value of 81 minus 36. Alright, so 81 minus 36 is 45. And then take the square root of 45. That'll break down into 9 times 5, so we have 3 square root of 5. Or you can put it into a decimal, doesn't bother me. The decimal would be 6.7. Alright, so now for the left foci point, you're going to do 3 minus 6.7. Alright, so do 3 minus 6.7, and you're going to get negative 3.7. And then you add them together, you're going to get 9.7. Alright, so our 2 focus points are negative 3.7 and 0, and 9.7 and 0. If you get these flip-flopped, I'm not going to count wrong. Alright, if you put the 9.70 here, the negative 3.70 here, I'm not going to count it wrong. The important thing is you got them both. All right, there's a decimal there. That's the important thing. You got them both. So I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not going to be that picky. All right, so now for C, for the eccentricity, remember it's C over the bigger one, so ours is going to be C over A. But remember, A in this case is not 81. A is 9. Because remember, that's A squared, so 9 squared is 81. All right? So, our eccentricity, you can either give me 3 square root of 5 over 9, or 6.7 over 9, or 0.75. I would take any of those three as the correct answer, because they're all equivalent. They're all mathematically equivalent. So I would take any of these as an answer. 3 square root of 5 over 9, 6.7 over 9, or 0.75. Alright? So this has been your Conics Part 1, basically, quiz review, going over circles and ellipses. Feel free to watch this as many times as you need to. Be ready to answer 6 questions similar to this when you come to school tomorrow. See you tomorrow.